come. I mean, I knew you would come, but you've come.
I have come.
All right, hi everybody. This is episode 2 of Happy Fun Music Time podcast. This is a special Mastodon episode I'm doing with co-host Alex Salas.
Nyar.
I was actually thinking of putting his meow scream at the start of this. That was the one idea.
Actually, yeah, you should. You should do that so people can contrast my own yar with the actual thing.
Oh, absolutely. I could overdub them even.
Oh yeah. Put them one on top of the other.
Yeah. All right. So Mastodon, they are, I guess I'd say a 4-piece prog metal / sludge metal band from Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know. I think their music's pretty cool. I think the drumming in particular is pretty unique for the genre. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this band?
Yeah. I mean, Mastodon I think they are a band with a really good image. I think they have a great band name. I think they have really good artwork consistently. Like you said, yeah, they have a really unique sound. It is that mix of prog and sludge, like you were saying. The drums, Brand Daler is great. A lot of people say it's jazz inspired, and I guess that's not inaccurate. It's very heavy on the hands. There's a lot of filling and a lot of offbeat snares, and it just adds this tumultuousness to the sound that you don't typically get in sludge. So that really does bring a lot of the prog element to their sound. And I think it's interesting too that they've gotten to where they are now, which is one of the biggest bands in metal, and they don't really have, to my mind anyway, I might be wrong, a real front person.
Yeah. You could say it's Brent or Troy, right?
Yeah, it's kind of, what do you want to call a Blink-182 thing where they have two different front people, but they don't have a real singer. There's not a real voice to this band, in my opinion, but nonetheless they have this really unique sound. So the vocals almost become kind of part of the music itself more so than a lot of other metal bands.
Yeah, they have a vocalist by committee kind of thing going on, because I think Brand Daler even sings a bunch too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, especially on the later material, he comes in a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think that's partly why, we'll get to it, but later in their discography, when they moved away from the prog and became more of a, started writing more straightforward pop structures and kind of more typical rock metal stuff, that almost necessitates more of a vocal presence, and they really don't have much vocal chops in this band.
Yeah,
they're really they're really at their best on instrumental level, and so it just exposes this kind of glaring shortcoming they have. So I think that's a big reason why their first 4 albums are a lot better just overall than
I would agree with that
later. Yeah. So yeah, that's one overarching point on Mastodon.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, because we planned to do this, kind of an overview on Mastodon, I guess I've been listening to a lot of Mastodon. What I did is I just took, I think, 7 albums? I took all of them, I just threw them into a playlist, so just shuffled it, right? So it jumps around a lot. And it's been a good time. It kind of re-invoked sort of my love for Mastodon, maybe around when I was in high school. I really liked this band, and I don't know, I didn't really grow up from them. I just sort of I forgot about them almost. Yeah, they didn't really I didn't grow out of them. It's not I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I sort of rediscovered them, which was nice.
Yeah,
a lot of great tunes. So I don't know, we could kind of just start with Remission if you want.
Yeah, for sure. Like Remission, their first full length album. So, but yeah, we'll skip the couple EPs they did. They did a Slick Leg and Life's Blood were those two ones. We'll just skip those. I didn't actually.
Yeah,
I didn't bother. I didn't bother to listen to them. But
I
for
actually
completion's sake,
I like
oh,
the
you
9-song demo, but we can maybe revisit that another time.
Oh, sure, yeah, because I didn't actually go. I just listened to the LPs.
Yeah, and that's like
homework.
a different band almost because they had like a front man for that one, right?
Oh, really? I see. Because I don't know if I've never actually listened. I've heard the all the like full length discography stuff, and then I also heard one of the later EPs, that Cold Dark Place one, but I haven't heard the old pre fame stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Well, for Remission, I know that like all the early Mastodon stuff, like I think it's the first 4, they're all sort of based on an element. Yeah, so I think Remission is the one that's based on fire, and like a lot of the track titles imply that. It's by far the heaviest one. March of the Fire Ants, Workhorse is insanely heavy. Burning Man, Trampled Under Hoof is probably one of my favorites. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I had that written down too, the element thing. So it's good that you brought that up. Yeah, it's this is the fire disc for sure. It is their heaviest album. It's their most, well, do I want to say it's their sludgiest? I guess so. I mean, Leviathan's coming up, and that one has a pretty big sludge thing going on, but you could say this is their sludgiest. This starts with Crusher Destroyer, which was the first Mastodon song I ever heard.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to Tony Hawk's Underground.
It's a great playlist.
Yeah, it actually was, but I couldn't appreciate that song back when I was 10 years old. It was like
too heavy.
Yeah, it was like noise to me back then. I was like, where's no FX? But I wanted to Billy Joe, but but listening to it now, I'm like, whoa, this is sick. It starts with that Jurassic Park sample, and so I love that track. March of the Fire Ants, I already mentioned. That's kind of a classic, and then
that's their probably biggest song off this one.
Yeah, for sure. Where Strides the Behemoth is the third one. That has the I love the kind of I don't know what you call it. It's a synthy thing at the start of that one. And it's super heavy
kind of bit, yeah.
Yeah, and it goes on. It doesn't really let up much. I mean, there's a couple longer tracks on here, and I do find that with Mastodon, the shorter tracks tend to be what I gravitate to more. I guess Crack the Sky notwithstanding, like at this phase in their life cycle, like they haven't to me quite figured out how to do a long song super convincingly, but the short, punchier, heavier tracks are really like the highlights on this one and on Leviathan for me too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I kind of read the long songs. It seems like on every sort of maybe 6.5 to like 10 or 13 minute, like whatever their longest song is. I think it's The Last Baron. But it seems like they feel the need to have sort of really drawn out slow parts for almost the entire song. But this is a band that's like more than capable of playing fast stuff. Like a short song doesn't have to always be fast stuff, and a long stuff doesn't have to be like all slow parts, right? It'd just be nice if like on the longer songs, like they kind of mix it up a bit, because they clearly are great riff writers, right? So.
But yeah, but I also think it's that the style they're playing, which is that prog sludgy mix, it just like it lends itself more to shorter, like quicker statements than these long, anthemic kind of epic things. Which again, when they get to Crack the Sky, they've really kind of figured that out. But here it just sort of goes on, and I kind of am like, my finger's itching for the skip button. I'm like,
you want to get to the next song already.
Yeah,
like, it's a nice
Trainwreck. I'm like, let's get to Trampled Under Hoof already. Like I've already heard 3 minutes of this. I don't need 4 more.
I think for me, I think Workhorse or Trampled Under Hoof are my favorites. Workhorse is just very brutal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Workhorse is my favorite on this one.
No, that's a good pick.
Yeah, what about you?
My favorite one is probably Where Strides the Behemoth. That's probably my favorite song on this one. And yeah, I'll throw out Crusher Destroyer for nostalgia's sake. Those would be my two. But I also the weakest one here is Trainwreck for me. It just goes on and on and on. And yeah, I want to move on. I want to get heavy again.
Yeah, fair enough. Worst song on this. It's hard because like I don't think any of them are outright bad. I might agree with you on Trainwreck just because it's too long. I think it just opens up with sort of a long, drawn-out jam that you kind of get over after the first minute, right?
Oh yeah, and there's no. This is actually like a really especially for a debut album. It's great. Like I think it's a really good album. The other thing worth mentioning maybe are the like Elephant Man and Joseph Merrick.
Oh, the trilogy of Elephant Man songs.
Yeah, which was. Do you know the story behind that? Like, I actually don't know why they're doing this.
I just know that like on the first 3 albums, the last track is like an instrumental that is like a tribute to Joseph Merrick.
They're just fans or something.
Yeah, they're just sort of intrigued by him. Like, fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
I like the instrumentals. Like this first one is a little long. I think I like Joseph Merrick like off Leviathan a bit better. It sort of gets its point across a bit faster. But yeah, it's a decent song. I'd say on Remission, Elephant Man is like the weakest of the trilogy.
Yeah, for sure. I just say it's kind of an interesting like.
It's a weird thing to do.
Theme they have
I like it personally.
Oh yeah, it kind of adds a little bit of mystery to it. I never knew why they were. I guess they just are fans of the Elephant Man or David Lynch. I don't know.
All right, should we keep it going? Go on to Leviathan?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should. Oh yeah. Also, I should say we will rank these at the end. So we're gonna like at the end of this, we'll go through and put all these in order from worst to best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so Leviathan. This is the first full Mastodon album I heard.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have this CD. I think it's awesome. I'm not gonna. It's one of my like higher picks. I'll save my ranking for the end. Great album. Blood and Thunder is a good single. I think the drumming on this album in particular is maybe the best in their discography.
Ooh, okay.
I Am a Hob, that's a drum highlight. In terms Iron Tusk, also that intro. For riffs, that lead in Sea Beast is really cool. And then what else? Oh, Megalodon, that's a very cool intro. And I also really like the guitar in Aqua Dementia. Water theme, they got that idea across really well.
Yeah.
I don't know, what are your thoughts on this guy?
Yeah, Leviathan. This is sorry, I'm echoing super strong again.
Oh, okay. Let's quick break. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, sorry.
How about now?
Blah 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 blah. Okay, we're good.
Better? Okay.
Yeah, it's way better.
All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this in. Like, who cares?
Okay, whatever.
What are your thoughts on Leviathan?
Behind the scenes. Yeah, Leviathan. Leviathan is kind of, it's like taking Remission, but yes, you're making fire into water. The theme is different, but it's basically Remission, but everything is just up another level. I think they really kind of found their sound on this one. This was Remission, like, was a really cool album and stuff, but it was a little bit one-dimensional, and it sort of, there were some like pieces missing maybe. But Leviathan, it all comes together on this one. This is like they've matured.
Yeah. It's a better mix on this album too.
Yeah, the production is better. The songwriting is just tighter. Like you said, the drumming is amazing. The drumming's always been great, but it's really like on point here. He's never doing too much. the riffs are just stronger overall. The theme is just more consistently like woven in throughout the songs. There's a really there's a strong Moby Dick thing going on here, which actually works really well.
Yeah.
Because you have that sort of you have the guitars and the bass and even the vocals are kind of like in that sludgy way. They're kind of this slow, like undulating mass, and then underneath you have the chaotic drumming, and that's kind of like, to me anyway, that is sort of reminiscent of like waves in an ocean or something that are just, like you're in the middle of a storm, right? It's like look beneath the surface, that's going nuts.
I'd agree with that. Like kind of going back to like the Zardoz thing, like where I imagine myself like on Leviathan, I almost imagine myself on that boat when I'm listening to this.
Right.
The album cover, it's just pure chaos.
Yeah. No, there's much like Zardoz. There's this great imagery on this album. It's and the album art is like actually a work of art. Like I do, like I said in the beginning, like Mastodon, I applaud the album art consistently. It's great on their whole discography, and it does really encapsulate the theme. And yeah, I mean, Blood and Thunder is, is it fair to say it's their biggest song? I mean, probably.
Blood and Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that was the song that was in The Big Short, right?
Oh, true.
when Christian Bale's drumming away. That's the song it seems to me that from this band that is sort of their like swan song, or that's the wrong term. Their most popular track, anyway, the one that I think most people associate with them seems to be Blood and Thunder.
Yeah, I don't know, if I think of Mastodon, I have to like name 5 songs from them like as fast as I can. Blood and Thunder would probably be one of them. Like,
yeah, and it's the opening track here, and it's a really good track. And then I Am Ahab is nice, and then you have Sea Beast, which is my favorite song on this album. I always really liked this song because it doesn't sound like any. I mean, it sounds like Mastodon, but it doesn't sound like any other Mastodon song almost. There's a really catchy verse.
Yeah, and those guitar melodies are really cool.
Yeah, and it is very reminiscent of what they're trying to do, which is that sea kind of ocean theme. And then you have another heavy track with Island. So like the sequencing of the songs on this album is really good too. Like it never drags. It gets the point. If you include Joseph Merrick, there's 10 songs on it. There's no wasted time. Like there was a little bit of the last one with Trainwreck and some of the longer songs here.
Yeah.
With the exception of Hearts Alive, which I do think, again, that's the long one here. It's 13 minutes long.
I'm pretty sure.
It does not be that long.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think Hearts Alive, I haven't listened to it in a while, but I think it has like one of those 8-minute pauses.
Oh,
does
does
it?
They
have something silly at the end. It's like one of those things. It's sort of like a carryover when people only had CDs, right?
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, I'd forgotten that. Yeah,
it's just one of the songs I didn't get around to, but
yeah, Hearts Alive. I mean, and then because actually, I guess that does make sense because Joseph Merrick. Well, it is a separate song. Okay, I thought maybe it was a hidden track or something, but yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I forget how long it goes on, but I know Hearts Alive is longer, and it just goes on again too long for me. Besides that, I mean, this is kind of, it's hard to find a lot of fault with this one. It's a really fully realized metal album, and it's probably the truest blend of prog and sludge they have in their discography and will ever probably have.
That's fair enough. Like when I try and if I had to like describe Mastodon's music to someone who's never heard them, I would probably show them Leviathan first. Out of all of these, it sort of set the blueprint for everything they were gonna make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, for 2004, the album's pretty ahead of its time.
Oh yeah. It's a totally new sound. Like it did not sound like anyone else at the time.
Yeah, and like the drumming, like it almost has like it's way more flowy than like a lot of sort of prog metalcore sort of bands that are sort of way more sort of rhythmic and more sort of like brute over brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a pretty like unique and neat piece of music.
Yeah, I mean that drumming, like you need that in this band because again, they don't have a lot of vocal talent here. Like it's not like they're terrible singers or anything, but they don't like typically you'd have the singer kind of carrying the songs or like filling in those the gaps and giving them more room to move. But the fact that the vocals are pretty monotonous for the most part, and not in a bad way, they're just sort of, you know, there's not a lot to them. They're kind of like unadorned.
Yeah, they're sort of just a part of the arrangement.
Yeah, like so the drums fill that in. The drums kind of take over that space, and that's a rare thing to hear in a metal band, right? Or like a rock metal band. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty integral to the. Like, I don't think that this band works without that drumming. I think it's just it would be a lot less interesting without those fills and that crazy, you know, the rolls and all that stuff. So
yeah, when the guitars get super sludgy when they're not playing leads, that like that's really the front and center is sort of all the rhythms and everything that he's doing.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, well, I think I've exhausted what I want to talk about with Leviathan. Should we move on to Blood Mountain?
Yeah, we can do Blood Mountain.
All right. I'm just gonna start by saying, like, I love Blood Mountain. The Wolf is Loose is the first Mastodon song I heard.
Oh, okay.
I probably heard Crush or Destroyer on Tony Hawk's Underground, but maybe The Wolf is Loose is like the first Mastodon song that like really made an impression on me.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was the first, like, I'm a Mastodon fan now. That was like that song.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite Mastodon songs still. You know, other great songs, Crystal Skull, yes, a Mastodon guitar solo, great song. Blade Catcher, like, it's sort of controversial, but I think is really cool. Colony of Birchmen, good single, and I think an underrated track is A Circle of Sisquatch. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's super heavy, super riffy, super cool. And the instrumental at the end, Pendulous Skin, I think is the best of the Merrick trilogy. Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, what I don't know, I think they use like a lot of cool effects, and they sort of it's sort of the quintessential Mastodon, like sort of like Leviathan on steroids for me. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, so this is the one where the Earth, this is their elements on this one, right? It's
right.
Earth on this one. And like the thing that at this point in their discography I realize is they're really good at weaving those themes into the music without losing their sound, which is pretty respectable. If you look at a band like Thrice, who did the Alchemy Index, which is the same thing, it's the elements. They did that, and it was great music and everything, but it was a lot more obvious the way that they handled those elements. It was pretty obvious,
it's super
right?
literal, sort of the way they presented that, right?
Yeah, and again, it turned into like really cool songs, but it is like it's an easier route to take than kind of the delicacy with which Mastodon is able to really incorporate this stuff into their kind of pre-existing template of sludge with drums that go nuts. And given the I keep harping on this, but like given the vocal limitations they have, like it's more even impressive to me that like through the instrumentals, and I mean, like, you know, the titles and the lyrics and stuff too, but like they can really, like, you can hear that earthy, dirty, muddy kind of tone on this one. And it's not like it's a muddy sounding album. Like the production is really good on this album. It's probably their best production maybe ever, but well, I'll think about that more as we go along. But that's what this album proved, that they could really like, I mean, it was already evident with the last two, but it really showed it wasn't this was going to keep going. the longer with every one of these elements they covered. And yeah, I mean, I think The Wolf is Loose is a great opener. You get that drum fill at the start, which is so iconic. Crystal Skull, which is the source of Yar.
I'll have to get that in this episode somehow.
Yeah, you gotta get that in. And it has a great guitar solo in it. I also highlighted Circle of Sasquatch or whatever you call that, because that breakdown at the end of that song is nuts. It's such a cool breakdown. Song. Yeah, I love that song. I like Blade Catcher. I mean, it's a little bit.
It's like kind of silly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little silly. Maybe it's a little bit. What's the word I want to use? A bit of a novelty, maybe, but like it's cool.
I have fun listening to it. Like,
yeah, I think it's kind of a fun. It's almost like an interlude, but there's a little more to it, so I get it. And then Colony of Birchmen, I love that song. It's a great song. And then I think speaking of underrated songs, I think This Mortal Soil is very super underrated. It's the 10th track here. It has this really cool riff section that no one ever talks about. I think it's great.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good album. It's consistent. It like Leviathan, it never really lets up. And
I think this is the first one where they started actually playing guitar solos, sort of like actual soloing. Like there's a lot of riffs on the first two. I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong, because I might have missed a song on one of the previous two albums, but yeah, I think.
No, you're right. You're right.
Pendulous Skin and Crystal Skull both have pretty cool solos. And then one of my favorite guitar lines is like that breakdown in The Wolf is Loose, where they sort of do that scale run.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. Like every song. I mean, I guess the second half gets like after Colony of Birchmen, it does drop off a little bit for me with Hunters of the Sky and Hand of Stone. Like there's a little bit of a quality dip there. It's not major or anything.
The first half is better.
Yeah, like the first half is like it's like hit after hit after hit, and then so the first four songs, Sleeping Giant is also actually really good. I think that's one that I overlooked for a while, and on my re-listen a couple days ago, I was like, wow, this is actually really good.
Yeah, that was the exact same for me. I kind of overlooked that track.
Yeah, because it's a slower ride. Mastodon doing, it's almost like a ballad in a way, and you do not think of Mastodon as a ballad band, but that song's great. I mean, so the first 5 tracks are all amazing, and you get Blade Catcher, which is fun, so okay, and then Colony of Birchmen. But then the last, I mean, there are highlights, like I said, with some of the riffs, but like the last 4 or 5 tracks here aren't as good, so it's not a flawless album, but it's really, really, really good. It's like a super solid metal album.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, in the second half, I think the instrumental might be my favorite out of the last 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pendulous Skin is really cool. There's some nice leads in there. Yeah, that with this band, I get the vibe like how do I put it? It's sort of they present sort of this image of like a huge lumbering beast, like
almost like Sleeping Giant,
and it's just pure chaos and destruction, kind of.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that they can conjure that image so clearly, and like I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like
it's hard to explain.
But there is a majesty to what they can do when they're at their best, and that's rare. And and you combine that with like, again, the band name is great. All the art, like they're beyond band. They're like a really good brand.
Yeah, that is
as
true.
like as unromantic as it is to say that, Mastodon have a really good brand as a band, which the biggest bands all do. They all have that in common. So it's not surprising necessarily that you wouldn't think that a band mixing prog and the sludge in this way would hit it big, but when you have the right image behind it and you have the right
it's like the right presentation with the art and song titles and everything.
When you can present it consistently and in this enticing way, then people will listen to anything. So, well, pretty much anything. So So yeah, I think Blood Mountain's great, and I also one final note on it. I think that it's the album where their prog side's really overtaking the sludge. I think on the previous two it was pretty even, with even a little more sludge if you're gonna weight
Remission them. Especially, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that with Blood Mountain, the sludge is starting to disappear more from the sound. This is really more of a straight prog metal album to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'd like before they were kind of sludge first, prog second, and then I think that kind of flipped on its head. I'd still like call them sludge metal on this, but more of like a secondary tag, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's still an undertone of that for sure, but it's more distant now than ever before.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think that trend continues on the next album.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about with Blood Mountain, or?
No, I think we're good. I think we can move on.
Oh wait, did we do favorite song actually?
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Okay, my favorite song on Blood Mountain. I'm torn between two. I'm gonna say Circle of Sisquatch, whatever. Circle of that thing is my favorite. And then the weakest one is probably like either Hunters of the Sky or Hand of Stone. Probably Hand of Stone. I think is the weakest song in here. Just it doesn't do anything new. It's track 9. It's a bit of a throwaway.
Yeah, fair enough. For me, Sisquatch almost took it, and also Capillary and Crest. I can't even pronounce that.
Yeah,
that one jumped out at me, but I still got to go with The Wolf is Loose just for pure nostalgia reasons. The number of times I've listened to it. So that'd be my favorite, and I mean you kind of hit the nail on the head with the second half. I think I like Hand of Stone a little more, so I'll say my least favorite is Hunters of the Sky.
Yeah, that's fair. Those are the two for me that are
easily
the weakest here. So cool.
All right, nice. So next up, we've got the straight prog metal album,
Crack the Sky. Yeah, that's this is a great album.
Prog.
Yeah, riff.
I listened to this like in a really scattered fashion, kind of doing my research for this episode.
Did you ever hear it from back to front though, like when it first came out, or ever?
I did. Like... That was in the distant past.
Oh, okay.
I used to have this CD. It had that insert in it with their merch where they misspelled the name.
I remember that. Mastodon with the A.
I was trying to find it, like the CD, because I knew I kept that in there, but I don't know. That CD disappeared, but.
Yeah, some intern got fired for that one.
This is a great album. It's for me. I almost like. I don't consider it like a true Mastodon album, but it still is really, really good. Notable highlights. I think Divinations, that banjo is super cool at the start.
Yep.
Wasn't expecting that, and then. I think the last 3 tracks after the Czar is like the best moments of the album.
Okay.
The drumming in that chorus and Ghost of Karelia is great. They play that like a lot, but I don't get tired of it for some reason. Crack the Sky, great song. And then The Last Baron, I think that's maybe the first time they really nailed a long form song.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah. What are your thoughts on this guy?
Crack the Sky. Oh, sorry, I'm echoing again.
Oh. Testing.
Okay, we're good. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So Crack the Sky. This is a really, really, really good album. And so this is their Wind, right? So this is the last one of those elements that they're
didn't know what the element for this one was, so it is Wind element.
I'm guessing because of Sky, and you have like ghosts and this, and also you can I can infer it from the production again. Like there's a very airy kind of quality to this one that isn't on the other ones, and it works in concert with. At this point, they've really dropped the sludge, like we were saying. Like there's really not a trace of sludge metal on here, and like I'm okay with that. They've kind of morphed from this sludge first, prog second band into a full-on prog metal band, and Crack the Sky is one of the best prog metal albums of that. It came out in 2009, so of that decade, I think. It's a really great. There's no riff that's wasted. They nail finally the long songs, like you said with The Last Baron. I think The Tsar is also an amazing song.
Fair enough. This might be where we differ, but go on.
Oh, you don't like The Tsar? I mean, because for me, that's my favorite song on the album. I think that's I think it's an amazing song. The end of that song, that guitar solo, is the best section of music that Mastodon have ever done, in my opinion.
Okay.
And if their recent trajectory is anything to go by, it will be the best they ever do. But from beginning to end, this is just solid. There is no weak spot. All the songs work together. You can listen to the songs one at a time or all in order. And this really works. And there is some kind of story behind it involving the drummer. I'm not totally up on it. So this is kind of a concept album, again, furthering the whole prog metal thing.
Yeah.
But beginning to end, I think this is super solid.
Yeah, this is an excellent album. Like when it first came out, it was kind of a game changer for me. That sort of like what metal could do, what metal could be, right? For me, I do find I prefer the second half of this. Not to say that the first 4 songs aren't great. Probably Divinations is my favorite in the first 4. And that I listened to the Tsar like over the past few days, and it just kind of didn't click with me.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I sort of put it in the category of like Trainwreck, better than Trainwreck, of course, but like it just kind of went on for me. Maybe I have to go back, but I mean, going back and revisiting this album, the Tsar didn't make a huge impression on me. I was much more into The Last Baron. Just sort of the melodies and stuff grabbed me. When I'm listening to this music, sort of when I'm rating albums or like doing studies for these podcasts, like I'm playing something on PS4 and I just sort of have it on.
Okay.
So I'm playing NBA 2K and listening to Mastodon, and like The Last Baron was the song that grabbed my attention, and probably Ghost of Karelia as well. And then it just sometimes I kind of phased out of the Tsar every now and then, but that might be my own fault, right?
Well, I mean, hey, it could just be different strokes. It might not be your thing.
Yeah, but this is one of Mastodon's best records, and one of the best records of 2009 and probably the decade. I'd have to kind of go through everything, but I don't think
we
you're
should
wrong,
do that.
right?
we should do the best of decades at some point, like 2010 to 2019, and then 2000 to 2009, and like go back.
I'd be down, like to go and then we like each pick 10, like one from each year. I don't know if I could pick one for like all 10 years. That's a hefty award.
Oh no, I mean like it would be like a bunch, right? But yeah, that's a cool idea to do one for each year. And Crack the Sky would be a contender for 2009 for me.
Yeah, maybe next episode.
That'd be cool. Okay.
Right. Any more thoughts on this Mastodon album?
Crack the Sky. Okay. One final thing. This is really where Bran starts singing a lot more. Is on this album.
That's true.
Yeah, this is at this point in the band. This is where you really see him. I mean, to the point where the opening song "Oblivion," he is the main vocalist on that song.
He's a good singer.
And he's a good singer, not live, but none of them are good live. Maybe we'll get to that at the end. Yeah, on recording, he sounds great, and it's again, they have 3 primary singers now. At this is the point where they go all in on we don't have a front man, we just have a band, and
we
3
figure
of
out
the 4
vocals
members
as a
sing.
group.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of different and admirable, and they make it work here. I mean, his voice, look, it's not the strongest voice ever, but it works for the album. So
Yeah, especially for the
yeah.
shift, like to sort of more prog metal and even like almost prog rock. His voice
Hmm.
kind of matches that vibe.
Yeah, and I do wonder if it was almost out of necessity. I mean, yeah, that's what I want to say. I do wonder if it was out of necessity that they were like, we're writing these prog songs and we have two guys who can't hold a note. Oh, like I can't imagine. I mean, I guess I could imagine it working, but it wouldn't have worked as well. Like a song like Oblivion, right? If you had, what are their freaking names? Brent and is it Troy, the other
Yeah.
guy? Yeah, we had Brent and Troy doing all the vocals on that one. It would.
I couldn't picture Brent Hinds singing Oblivion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can picture it. I'm not saying it would be totally pretty.
Like Troy could maybe do it, but yeah.
I mean, he does sing the chorus in that one, right? Brent.
Yeah, I more like meant like all
grass.
of Brand's parts, right?
Yeah, and the verses. I tried to hunt and yar. He just adding yar all over the place. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I guess, the one other noteworthy development here, and also contender for best album art of all time, maybe if that's
Oh.
another thing we ever do. I think "Crack the Sky" is probably in my I don't know if I'm gonna say top 5, but it's probably in my top 10 album covers of all time.
It's your favorite Mastodon album cover then, for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think that they have amazing, like, all the way through, like every album to me has
That's
a
hard
great
for me to
cover. But yeah, if I was gonna pick my favorite cover, it would have to be "Crack the Sky." But I mean, yeah, all 7 of these covers are really good. I can never fault them for their covers.
Yeah. Well, that's about all I want to talk about for Crack the Sky. Not to,
Great.
not to clown on these guys too much because we kind of did with Brent, but they sort of remind me of like guys who like live in the woods, but they like sort of have to live on the land, so like they're really skilled at what they do.
Yeah, they're forest dwellers.
Yeah. Like they sort of
Well,
like
they
live
kind
in
of
a
look
cabin.
like that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, like the 3 main guys totally look like that. And then I mean, Bran has always looked out of place to me. Like he's sort of like they needed a drummer and they found him on Kijiji.
Yeah.
Like
Hey, it works.
yeah, I know it totally works. But I know I know what you mean. They have this rugged kind of I don't know. Yeah, rugged is the right word. They have like a rugged aesthetic about them that
It
works
fits
with
the image.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it fits the image. It fits the image of the older stuff. And now that we're into the new age, which we're done with "Crack the Sky," and we're going to descend into a deep dark pit now with the Hunter. But yeah, like that's part of the thing is that, well, yeah, the image doesn't necessarily match what they're doing at all now. We can get into it with the Hunter. I think the wheels kind of come off here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you want to take the lead on this one? What do you think about the Hunter? So this came out two years after "Crack the Sky." So we had a 2-year break, and now we have, after this prog metal epic thing with long songs, we go into what? What is the Hunter?
All right, the Hunter. It's how do you follow up "Crack the Sky"? Sort of like prog metal classic. I'll go as far to say. How do you follow that up? Well, do you make the same thing? Do you make a complete left turn, make something entirely different, or do you kind of just regress, which is unfortunately what I think Mastodon did here. I mean, things I like about the Hunter, the songs, none of them are like outright horrible. I think the album cover is really cool. Like it could be a contender for my favorite cover.
The cover is really cool. The cover is great.
And there's like some documentary, like they actually like built the like moose head thing, and like,
yes, I remember watching that.
That was interesting. And that might be the thing I remember the most from this album.
Carving the moose head for the cover is the best part about this album.
I think "Octopus Has No Friends" is a good song. I like that one. I mean, past that, I don't really remember much. I Curl of the Burl is pretty bad. That I think it's my weakest here, and maybe across their discography.
Oh well, I think we might be in agreement on that one, but let's continue.
And the rest of it is just like it just feels like kind of a contract obligation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's you gotta make a Mastodon album. You have maybe like 2 weeks to do everything, and they spent one of the weeks like building the moose head.
Just wrote everything in a week.
Wrote and recorded the rest of it.
Oh yeah, and recorded and mastered. Yeah,
and like they're skilled players and musicians and songwriters. We know this, but it feels like they don't care, or it's rushed, or both.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I could start with the positive, which is I'm echoing. Sorry.
No problem. Hold up, dude. How about now?
Yes, we're good. Cool.
I just like reset it every time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think to start with the positives, the production on this album is really, really, really good. That's been a theme throughout their discography. But I mean, for the kind of music that they're creating here, which is much more stripped down, it's much more simple. It's verse, chorus, verse for 95 to 98% of this. It's a really clear production job, and it works. I mean, there's no discernible kind of theme throughout these songs like there has been with the elements of the last four. So it does kind of feel a little bit like at this point Mastodon is kind of like unsure of where to go thematically, and they just decided to write a bunch of songs for fun. Nothing wrong with that. And I think after something like Crack the Sky, which was so expansive, you almost have to go with something more simple, something more stripped back. So I don't fault the idea behind this one. The problem with it for me is it's just not interesting. It doesn't feel like they're pushing themselves. I mean, you can make stripped back poppy metal songs that are good. Lots of bands have done that.
Well, they can sound inspired, right? And like this kind of doesn't.
Yeah. This just sounds sort of. It's just sort of boring to me. And I mean, there are a few highlights throughout. I think Blasteroid's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think Creature Lives is kind of a really interesting. It's got Bran on the vocals again, and it's a slow kind of thematic epic thing that actually, like, it sounds like it should be terrible, and it actually works. And then I think Bedazzled Fingernails is fun. It's the second last song. It's got a really cool kind of off-kilter riff, and to me, those are the highest. I agree with you that Curl of the Burl is horrible and probably the worst song they've ever done.
It's just lame.
It's just not good. It's just a really bad, boring. Yeah. It's just a Curl of the Burl. Even the like what Curl of the Burl.
I imagine like when I'm listening to that song, like I'm like at the cabin, like just with like Brent Hinds, and he's had a Texas Mickey. He's been like swinging around.
Too many Texas Mickeys. He's like, "Oh, the Burl."
And it's just like the song that was written during that, pretty much.
It does have that, like, it's kind of like it doesn't sound like this song at all, but in the same way that "Lonely Day" by System of a Down is a horrible song that was written in a car. Like the Curl the Burl gives me that vibe. Like, you're right. If like they got drunk and were like, "Hey, don't be funny," like like they wrote the song in 5 minutes. Yeah, like I think it's bad. And yeah, the Hunter is just uninspired, and it's so below what like we know they're capable of after something as good as Crack the Sky and Blood Mountain and all these albums. It's hard to not be disappointed.
Yeah, and I mean I'd say like Leviathan and Blood Mountain, like they had like sort of elements in the instrumentation and the songwriting. Like you could write a collection of songs that are sort of energetic and inspired. Like I think Mastodon's capable of that, but they just weren't able to pull it off here at all. Like,
yeah, and I think on the follow up, once we're around the sun, like they it's the same formula as this one, but done a lot better.
Yeah.
So they're easing into it. But yeah, and again, I don't blame them for going in this direction with the poppier stuff, but I don't know. It is disappointing that they didn't just double down again on the prog. Like, I would have been interested to see, what if they did like an Edge of Sanity Crimson thing and did like a 1-song album, like 40, or like, really, really committed to the prog thing, which would
That
be
could
the
be
other
cool.
direction they could go.
Yeah. I'd listen to a 40-minute Mastodon song. Not
Yeah,
like
or
a lot
whatever,
of times, but I would.
Yeah, just like something totally out there, like just going further on the sea versus turning back and going back to shore, which is what they've done. So yeah, I don't know. The Hunter just for me doesn't do much. It's the album I'm least enthused about in their discography.
Yep, best album cover and songs leave something to be desired.
The cover is the best part about the album, and it's not good when somebody can say that.
Well, you know what's funny about the next one? Once More Around the Sun might be my least favorite Mastodon album cover.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, the cover. Okay.
I think the album is like a noted improvement on the Hunter. I used to not really think so until like I went back and listened to it. I'm like, oh, this actually isn't so bad. Like, so like Once More Around the Sun, it's a bit more energized. There's more riffs. There's more excitement. You have like really riffy tracks like Aunt Lisa and Ember City, and there's sort of like a female like gang chant thing at the end of Aunt Lisa that's like kind of funny.
Yeah.
What else did I like here? I liked Chimes at Midnight. That was a good song. And like there's no like Curl of the Burl track on this. I think I didn't listen to this front to back. I was shuffling everything, but I don't remember anything bad on this. What are your thoughts on Once More Around the Sun?
Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you. There's nothing as dismal as Curl of the Burl. This is and on the whole, like this is a much more consistent listen than the Hunter.
Yeah.
So there was another 3-year gap here. This came out in 2014. I think that they learned a lot from the Hunter. I think this one is just it's kind of in the same way that Leviathan was Remission on, but like a souped up version. This is sort of like a souped up version of the Hunter to me.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the riffs are just punchier. It's more fun. You can tell that they're kind of more inspired. It's more of like an eye-popping listen. There's more creativity.
They're having more fun, I think.
Yeah, they're having more fun with it. There's a kind of a cartoony almost. Again, and this is probably art informing my opinion to some degree, but
yeah,
I do get with the production choices and a lot of the kind of over the top stuff, like you mentioned, that female gang chant thing that they do on this album. There's a sense of fun here.
Absent from the Hunter.
Yeah, which the Hunter I think was going for, but it just kind of fell a little bit flat.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it does manage to maintain it for the most part. And yeah, I don't think there's a weak song per se on here. And I think the title song is great. I think the verses are amazing in that one.
Oh, okay.
Let it now, like super catchy. And that's my Brent Hinds and our impression. And then you have Aunt Lisa was great. Ember City has some great brand vocals on it. Yeah. I think Halloween is a super underrated song on their discography.
Oh,
there's a guitar solo at the end that like alternates between the speakers, and there's like shots going on, and then it keeps going, and you keep thinking it's going to end, and it keeps going. So that's actually probably my favorite song on this album. And
you know what's funny? Sorry to interrupt. We've already pointed out like way more details about this album than we did the Hunter.
Yeah, we've been talking for 2 minutes about it.
But like actual parts of the songs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more memorable album. Like each song kind of stands on its own more. Whereas with the Hunter, it's just, the only thing we really pointed out there was like Curl of the Burl, and that's because it was bad. Like,
yeah.
we didn't like. There wasn't anything especially memorable on that one. But yeah, I do think the Once More Around the Sun, and I agree with you that I'd listened to this album when it came out, which was 6 years ago at this point. God, but I had listened to it and it hadn't. I was kind of like, blech, I was kind of meh on it.
Yeah.
But I listened back to it now, and it's a lot better than I remember. And so time has been kind to this album for me. So
yeah.
I actually like this album.
I think this is one of those albums that's more like a collection of singles. Like it's almost not meant to be listened front to back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's just you kind of pick the songs you like, throw them on your playlist. So that might have been part of the problem, is listening to this front to back, because one of the negative things about this is it sort of just wants me to listen, like makes me want to listen to Leviathan or Blood Mountain.
Yeah.
Like it's good, but like those ones are better. So but you know what? It's more reminiscent of sort of like their highs back then, which is good. The Hunter just made me like want to not listen to Mastodon at all, but this one made me want to go back and listen to better Mastodon. So I think that's a plus, a kind of an underhanded plus, but
it is almost like a totally different band at this point. I mean, there are still hints of what you're saying of especially with the drumming. You still have, to some degree, you have those fills and that electric energy to what is being played, but it's so much poppier and it's much hookier, and this is not really prog at all, maybe as a tertiary genre at best.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But
it's like an alternative metal album with like sludge metal elements and
yeah. But it's much less ambitious than any of the first four. It's aiming for a much lower bar. And I'm not saying that Mastodon have any obligation to, make prog anthems or be experimental or anything. But they are. It is hard to ignore the fact that they're playing it pretty safe with this and the Hunter and Emperor of Sand. Like they are firmly in a comfort zone here. I mean, they've gotten better since the Hunter, but it's not like they're doing anything radical within music at large, like they were kind of doing with their earlier material.
Yeah, fair enough. Should we continue to Emperor of Sand?
I think we can move on to the desert.
All right. So this is the latest Mastodon album, Emperor of Sand. It came out in 2017. It has a real sort of
Emperor of Sand
desert theme. Kind of in the song titles, they sort of go back to like having a themed album almost. Whether or not it's sort of what's the word? Like forced or not. That might be a subject of debate, because you got song titles like Sultan's Curse, Ancient Kingdom, Precious Stones, Jaguar God, like all that. I like Emperor of Sand a lot. I maybe overrated it when I first heard it, but going back to it, I still enjoy it. I think there's more elements of Crack the Sky in it than the two that came before. Sort of has prog elements. I'd say it's still the best of the last three. I think Andromeda is a really cool song. I also really like Roots Remain. But it also, Show Yourself is maybe the worst Mastodon song. It's a tie between that and Curl of the Burl. It's like a Weezer song, but like covered by Mastodon or vice versa. Like, I don't know.
Oh gosh. Weezer.
It sounds like Weezer. I don't know. Like,
my name is Brent.
Like, I don't know. Like, it sounds like a chorus of like Pork and Beans, like just right off the bat.
That's hilarious.
Like Brent Hinds doing a power pop song. I don't know. What do you think of Emperor of Sand?
I agree with you that Emperor of Sand is the return to a theme. I think that this is there is like an Egyptian desert kind of vibe, and again with the album art, which is great. Once again, you have that heat and that desert landscape, and again they have a talent for having this come out in the music. You can hear it with songs like Jaguar God, Sultan's Curse, and Scorpion Breath, and you can really hear that theme come out.
There's cool ideas on this album.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, it is more pop metal kind of stuff, like what they were doing with Once More Around the Sun.
Yeah.
And The Hunter. I mean, there is maybe a little bit more prog kind of eking in here, but it's not Crack the Sky by any means. Show Yourself, I actually don't hate.
Fair enough.
As much as you. I think it's catchy. I think it's fun. I think that it's unfortunate that it is the second song on this album that has otherwise strong theming throughout. This one does not have any of that desert imagery. It feels out of place.
Does it not stick out like a sore thumb on this album? Like,
yeah, it sticks out. I think that in the context of the album, it is ill-befitting, but as a song itself, I don't think it's that bad. I kind of like it in a guilty pleasure way. It's show yourself. It's got like a catchy. I think the verses are catchy. But yeah, and I think the Jaguar God, which is the last song on here, is actually a good long song.
It's
I think
cool.
It's actually, I think it's a good song, so I have to give them props there. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else on this one? I mean, there's not much different going on here. Right. There's some mild theming changes and a little more prog, and
I find that they're on a very slow upwards trajectory after sort of a dip with The Hunter. The trajectory is slow, but it's there. I got some of the like spacey vibes that you sort of hear in Crack the Sky on this.
Oh yeah,
in bits. Not major. Yeah, I think it's the best post Crack the Sky album. Just because it's a little more sort of like to the point compared to the other two, especially The Hunter.
Yeah.
My favorite song on this is probably Andromeda, and then my worst is Show Yourself.
Yeah, I think it's close between this one and Once More Around the Sun for me. I mean, as an album, I probably like Once More Around the Sun a little bit more. I think
Fair
it's
enough.
a little more fun. Emperor of Sand is more concise, maybe. I think it does have to do with that consistency, with the Show Yourself not withstanding. It's more there's more of a consistent vibe throughout, so that helps it feel more unified. My favorite song on this one is probably Jaguar God, actually. If I was gonna
It's a good song.
If I was gonna name a top track, and then I don't know if I have a least favorite on this one. I mean, it's tempting to say Show Yourself just because of the content of the album. It is kind of out of place, but I don't hate that track, and I want to be different. So I don't know. I'll say one of the throwaway ones, like I don't know, Word to the Wise maybe, or Roots of Man, like one of those mid-album cuts that just doesn't. I don't remember.
Yeah, it didn't make a good impression, really.
Yeah, kind of forgettable. I thought Ancient Kingdom was cool, so I'm not going to name that one. Yeah, I think it's either track 5 or 6 is the weakest for me.
Fair enough. Well, that's the whole Mastodon discography. Do you want to give me your top 7 right now?
my albums ranked.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do worst to best. I think it's probably pretty obvious what the order is going to be based on what we've been saying, but my worst one is The Hunter. That's the bottom. And in fact, do you agree with me on that one? Can we just both say The Hunter is the worst? Okay, so The Hunter is the worst one. And then
it might be my favorite album cover, funnily enough, but
well, yeah, sure. I mean, the cover. We could rank the covers too. Actually,
sure. Let's do that after.
Yeah. But I would say The Hunter. The Hunter's my least favorite, and then Emperor of Sand I have to put second least favorite.
Okay.
And then Once More Around the Sun comes after. But those two are close. Like there's a bigger gap between The Hunter and Emperor of Sand than Emperor of Sand and Once More Around the Sun are pretty close. But I think I like Once More Around the Sun a little bit more.
Fair enough.
And then so that's the three new ones. Then of the four, of the big four,
Yeah.
the big four,
The important ones.
yeah, the big ones. Remission's obviously the weakest one for me anyway. I have to put that one. I have to put that one here. And then the really tough part about this was ranking these three albums. That was the hardest.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Part of this, yeah, specifically trying to figure out Blood Mountain and Leviathan, like how I want to do that. I had to put Blood Mountain below Leviathan, and I had to put Leviathan below Crack the Sky. So my final ranking from top to bottom is Crack the Sky number 1,
Yeah.
Leviathan number 2, Blood Mountain number 3, Remission number 4, Once More Around the Sun number 5, Emperor of Sand 6, and The Hunter dead last number 7.
Okay, fair enough. That so we have our top 4 and our bottom 3 the same, of course.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
Past that, the order is a bit different. I guess I'll go top to bottom. I'll start with my favorite, and then I'll go down. So we got number 1. I got Blood Mountain. It's my favorite.
Yeah, that's yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's the most high energy one to me. It's sort of the one with the most songs I'd go back to consistently. And second, I have Leviathan, which for me, again, it's sort of like Blood Mountain, but to a lesser degree. The second most songs I go back to the most. After that, I have Crack the Sky. Couple bits of it didn't really make too much of a mark on me, and I think the second half's way better. I think the second half of the album is maybe Mastodon's best work ever, but the first half leaves a bit to be desired compared to the other two. So I have Crack the Sky third. Remish fourth. Exact same thoughts on you. It's a little raw, a little bit can be a bit samey, but incredibly heavy, incredibly high energy and unique. What do I have? Fifth, I've got Emperor of Sand, just because I like the return of the more proggy elements. I like the theme, and you know what? I think that album cover is one of my favorites. It made a bit of an impression on me. Once More Around the Sun is sixth. Similar feelings as you. It's way more exciting and fun than The Hunter. I'm glad I got to revisit this album because we did this, because I'm probably going to listen to it more now. And then last is The Hunter. Curl of the Burrow is bad, and it's sort of it's like being held at gunpoint. Write a Mastodon song now. And that's it's like what a fan would come up with. It's like Mastodon fan fiction. Like,
yeah, it's
if Mastodon had like rip-off bands, they'd sound like The Hunter.
Trigger trap. That brings up an interesting. Oh crap! I'm echoing.
Oh, 1 second.
Okay, we're good. Yeah. So we should go over what the best song and worst song of the whole discography is, is it obvious that Curl of the Burl is the worst song for both of us of the whole discography, or is Show Yourself for you a contender?
I don't know if I can pick. You know what? I'm gonna say Show Yourself just to be different from you. That's like just the only qualifier. Like, just so we each
Show
have a different
Yourself's
one.
a better song than Curl of the Burl, though. Come on. Like, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but it's a better track than like. Oh God. Okay. All right. So you have Show Yourself as worst. What's your best song? I'm curious as to what you're gonna say for this. What's the best Mastodon song?
Do you have yours already, or do you want me to just?
Yeah. I have mine written down.
Oh, okay. I should have done this.
Which you were gonna like vehemently disagree with my pick, by the way.
You know what? Tell me yours, because I have to think for a little bit, because I didn't write this down.
All right. So the best Mastodon song. Show Yourself. No, I'm kidding. It is The Czar for me.
Wow.
The best
Okay.
Mastodon song. That is my favorite Mastodon song. Again, I think that it's long, but every part works. The ending is like otherworldly. It is otherworldly, the ending of the Tsar, in my humble opinion. And I think the middle section's great. They've got this tambourine in the middle that's super cool. By the light of the moon, and they have this, and the intro is great, and they bring it back, and the whole song is just a really complete, like, 10-minute package that never lets up, and that's not easy to do. Yeah, I think it's their best song.
Fair enough. I don't think it's their worst song. I think it could be my least favorite on Crack the Sky.
The ending is literally, like, to me, I know there's a title track, but the ending of the Tsar is like the sky cracking open. When
I
that
might
guitar
have to go back.
the guitar solo on that song is the best guitar solo in their discography and one of the best guitar solos of that decade. That's another thing we could do, best guitar solos. That's another podcast idea.
Oh, I'd be down for that.
Fun.
It's better than most of Remission, like that song, and like songs off my other two, Blood Mountain and Leviathan, and like it's better than all of the Hunter.
Well, sure. I mean, so are like every album by every local band.
Jeez. Fair enough. Best Mastodon song for me. That's a tough one. I might have to say The Wolf is Loose. It's the first one I've heard, and there's a huge nostalgia factor there. The drum intro, the guitar breakdown, you got some screaming in there. So those riffs are awesome. The album title, or not the album title, the song title, excuse me, fits the instrumentals perfectly. It's great. Runners up for me would be Iron Tusk, The Last Baron, maybe Ghost of Karelia,
Yeah, that's a good
Circle of Sasquatch. I think I said 5. Those are my top 5. But
yeah, interesting doing a top 5. Yeah, I'm not sure what my other picks would be if I was doing 5. I mean, Sea Beast would be on there for me. I love that song. Probably a Circle of Sasquatch, maybe Colony of Birchmen I might throw in there. And then you have all of Crack the Sky, too. I mean, God, you have Divinations is great. Yeah, I don't know. If I was going to do it, I'd have to go back and actually write down a top 5. But there's a lot more good than bad in the Mastodon discography. The Hunter is, even their weakest stuff, the Hunter, it's not like it's unlistenable to me at any point. Like Curl of the Burl's bad, but like
it just
it's
sounds like a B-sides album pretty much.
Yeah. It's not as if I ever am like screaming turn it off or anything. It's just kind of poor. Yeah, anyway, so that's Mastodon, I think. Is there any other points on this band now that you've listened to all their albums in a very short amount of time? Any final thoughts on Mastodon? Where should
a ton of Mastodon the last couple days?
Well, I mean too. I mean, I need to take a break, but where do you think they should go? That's a good question. Like after Emperor of Sand, like what's the next move for Mastodon?
I hate saying stay the course. I think they should turn the energy up a bit. It did go down from Once More Around the Sun to Emperor of Sand. I think I'd like to hear like a shorter album from them because they tend to go for like 50 minutes an hour. I would love to just hear like a short, fast, heavy album from Mastodon, where they're having fun. Like they seem to like to take like 3-year breaks now, so however long it takes, maybe we're due for it this year. If I'd be down for like an 8-track Mastodon album that's like 30 to 40 minutes long. That's where I'm at. But how about you?
Yeah, that'd be cool. But we were talking about Thrice earlier. Like, I think that it would be interesting if Mastodon did something kind of like was it the Earth Alchemy Index disc that Thrice did, where they had a lot of acoustic instruments. And
I've got to say, the Alchemy Index is like very heavy-handed. like with the the air disc especially, like Silver Wings.
We'll do the Thrice discography. That'd be a good one at some point to do. but yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, right? Like their treatment of the element theme is very like one-dimensional, and I think it turned into like great songs, but as a story, it is a little heavy-handed. It's like it's kind of like every cheesy, it's like Avatar or something. It's like you've seen it 100 times, but yeah. In terms of where Mastodon should go, I like the idea of them doing something different. They don't have to totally abandon this sort of poppy structures and this more straightforward approach, but kind of varying up maybe the instrumentation would be interesting.
Well, they brought some keys into like Crack the Sky and a little bit of Emperor Sand. Like there's some synths. I thought that was neat. That'd be cool to have some more of that.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of develop on those those aspects of their sound more. Or do what I said earlier and do like a super long one song prog thing. I think that would totally a left field, but like cool.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I suspect what they're going to do is just put out another kind of middle to above average pop metal, mildly proggy. Really, there's no sludge anymore, so we can throw that out the window. Yeah, another album kind of like Emperor of Sand, and I think it's going to be
keep the Mastodon machine rolling.
I think at this point probably. I would love to hear something else, but I'm not holding my breath for a Meshuggah's Eye, but Mastodon version.
Oh yeah, fair enough. All right, question. Like, out of like all of the members of Mastodon, like, who would you want to write an EP with?
Oh, there's actually not a bad answer here. I'm thinking it through.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to do it with Brand because the problem is he would outshine me as a drummer, so I don't like that. I would be really demoralized and like question my life choices. So
I figured you guys would do some like Tortoise like 2 drummer thing.
Yeah, but then I would be like, it'd be like a one-wheel bicycle. Like I could not hold my. I'd be like a unicycle, but not in the fun way. We'd just be toppling off. And he would have tried to ride it, would just split their head open. Yeah, so I don't know if I would pick Brand. I would love to like get a drum lesson from the guy, but writing an EP with him, I would be woefully under-equipped for that.
Yeah.
Although as a vocalist could be interesting. Anyway, no, I wouldn't pick Brand, but it would be interesting to write it with Bill, the guitar player who never gets any love ever because
Brent Hinds steals the show.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what's he like? He's like the silent one. It's like it's just satisfy my own curiosity. I might pick him.
Just gotta know better.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd have to pick Brent actually if I was really gonna actually do this. I think it would be really. I feel like there would be stories that would potentially outshine any songs we wrote or anything. It would just be like getting that as part of my like mental Rolodex would be great.
He's kind of like the heart and soul of Mastodon.
Yeah, he is. He. I said there wasn't a frontman, but like if there's a face of this band, it's Brent.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, with that face tattoo and that hair all over the place, and yeah, he's
kicking over monitors.
He is Mastodon. Yeah, kicking over monitors and going yarg really abruptly for no apparent reason.
If I had to write an EP with one of those guys, yeah, it would probably have to be Brand for me, just because the drumming would be really good. But then he might outshine me, man. Like even playing different instruments.
You could keep up with him on guitar. That wouldn't be a problem. The problem is when you have a drummer now. Yeah. That wouldn't be good.
Troy could be interesting too. Because I think out of all the vocalists, I like Troy's voice the most.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to have him like do vocals on a project. That would be neat. Like if I wanted a lesson though, it would have to be Brent for sure.
There is actually one other point about Mastodon, which is that I alluded to it earlier, but live they are not a good live band.
What do you think the issue is? Like, do you think they're like too noisy, and like the stage volume, like they can't handle what's going on. Like
I don't think it's that. I mean,
they can't sing live very well. Like
yeah, I think the problem is the singing. I think that it's just, like I said, they are not good vocalists. I think they're instrumentalists first and vocalists second, and it served them well in their career. But live, I mean,
the vocals are almost by necessity. Like
yeah, they're by necessity, and it's they're just consistently out of tune, and I mean, Bran. I was like, I thought that was like your dog or something. Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I don't envy Bran having to do those drum parts and sing at the same time. I think that's not conducive to a live setting.
That's nuts. Yeah, I don't know how anyone would do that.
Yeah, I mean that's tough. So
well, it's like soloing, like doing like a bunch of sweeping or something, and then singing lead vocals. Like
yeah, it's like the guy from Necrophagist.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Muhammad something? I forget.
Muhammad Suchamez or something.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Another good episode idea would be sort of bands that fell off the map, like.
Yeah, we get Necrophagist would be a good one.
Karelia.
Yeah, I was about to say Karelia. That do a bit like scumbag bands like Karelia's on there. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's the problem. I think like instrumentally they're fine live, but it's just those vocals and they're so. And the other thing is that in the album with the production, they're almost able to hide or not hide, but like weave the vocals with the production, so they're not.
The vocals are never mixed to the front, like on a Mastodon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're more like artfully kind of buried in there. But live, I mean, the sound engineers don't know what they're doing, obviously, and just always mix the vocals way too loud. So now you have this out of tune element just that isn't meant to be that loud anyway. It's just it's the most dominating part of the mix. So they
that's
never
why Brent gets
that,
so mad. Like he kicks over. The
yeah,
monitor.
that's why he kicks over monitors. My voice is too loud. Kicks over. Turn my voice down. Like breaks the monitor.
Having Brent yell at me. Imagine having Brent Hinds like yell at you. That'd be terrifying. Like.
Yeah, he'd bring me back to the woods and he'd cut me apart with a chainsaw.
Yeah. That's
yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have on Mastodon.
Yeah, that's good band. I don't think they've had like a complete bust album. Like the Hunter might have been close, but like
no, I mean, yeah, even the Hunter is not a total bust. There's some I'm not eager to revisit it, but it's not like a 1 or something. Like,
yeah,
it's listenable for the most part.
The Hunter is one of those albums. Like if I heard it without like any context, like if it was just a different band that like only put out the Hunter, I'd probably like it more. Like
yeah, there wouldn't be that like crushing disappointment
after Crack the Sky.
Yeah, exactly, of wasted potential. Yeah. Yeah, cool. But what are we gonna do for the next episode? That's we should tease. What do you want to do? Do you want to do that decade thing? Do you want to do another band? Like, what do you think?
I'd be down. I'd be down to do the decade thing. I'd be down to do worst albums next, and then best albums after that.
So like the worst and best of like what 2010 to 2019.
Yeah, like because this episode, it's about an hour 20, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
So then I think episode 3 should be either the worst of each year of a decade or the best, and then we do the other one for episode 4.
Okay.
Just so cool, it doesn't run for like 3 hours.
Right. Worst and best. Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll come up with both, and we'll figure out what order we want to do them in.
Do you want to do? Should we do like 2010 to 19?
Yeah, I think so. We'll do the current or like the most recent decade first.
So that's probably like the years I've like listened to the most music. Like I don't know if like I have a worst album of like 2001. Like
yeah, I would have to really go back and check that out, but I probably have it like more readily available for the last 10 years. So yeah, we could do that for sure.
Yeah, and that's. I'd be down to like revisit like the Metal Brothers, like Whiskey in the Jar.
You could pick that as your worst album of 2011. Did that come out? I think it was 2011.
Oh yeah, fair enough. That,
Metal Brothers could show up again.
Well, maybe I'll do it as my best. You never know.
I'm not gonna put anything past you.
It'd be kind of funny, like do an episode like we pick like a bunch of good albums of a year, but then just like act like we hate them.
like an April Fool's thing or something,
Yeah.
like an opposite day.
I was just thinking of my least favorite movie is The Godfather. So boring.
Who said? Yeah, that was like one of the.
It was a reference to a certain album.
Yeah, that's one of the references. The many references here that like no one will ever understand.
All right. I guess I'm gonna say goodbye to my to our faithful listeners here. Bye.
Yeah,
Enjoy. I hope you liked our Mastodon podcast.
Say a big yar to all the people that listen.
Oh yeah, do your best yar right now.
Yar. Yar.
There we go. All right, I'm gonna stop
laughing during the
recording
first
now.
one.
Bye.